The Center for Audit Quality presents Profession in Focus.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Profession in Focus. I'm Cindy Fernelli, the Executive Director of the Center for Audit Quality, and I'm very pleased to have as my guest today Jay Hanson, who is, of course, a member of the PCAOB, as well as one of the two designated CPAs on the PCAOB. So, Jay, we're very excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So, do you have something you need to tell us?
Well, Cindy, I'm happy to offer you some of my own personal unique perspectives, but as every board member has to say, these are my own views, not the views of my board or staff or anybody else. So with that, fire away on a question for me.
Okay, very good. So what I want to start with is, we at the Center for Audit Quality are very focused on audit quality and how to assess the status of audit quality, how to improve audit quality, and of course that's a core mission of the PCAOB as well. So while we may come at it from different perspectives, it is a core objective that we both share. So I want to get your take on what you think the status of audit quality is today.
Well, overall, I do think the audit quality is improving. So on a very positive trend, improving across the board. With the largest firms, I think the biggest focus is consistency of execution, which has been a challenge for many years for the firms, and they're trying different things to experiment with ways to get consistent execution. But we're seeing many positive things across the firms. They're not all the same, but they're trending in the right direction. With the smaller firms, it is much more mixed in terms of the results that we see. And we issue on the smaller domestic firms in the United States about 165 inspection reports a year. And many of those we have no findings, and many of them consistently we've had no findings, and even with small firms that have fairly sophisticated clients, which is an outstanding accomplishment for them. But others are very challenged in a number of areas. And so it's mixed across the board with the smaller firms, trending in the right direction, but a long ways to go for many of them.
So switching gears a bit, a big theme in 2015 for preparers, auditors, regulators, audit committees was ICFR, Internal Control Over Financial Reporting. Talk to me about your perspective about that. Where are we with respect to ICFR? Is it something we're going to hear carried over into 2016, or have we right-sized where our expectations are around ICFR?
Well, we participated in lots of discussions in this past year, and I personally have been involved with meetings, with small group meetings of preparers, with smaller preparers, larger preparers, with the audit firms, with a wide variety of people in the reporting chain, including audit committee members. And there's a lot of frustration, which stems partly from the rigors of the efforts the firms are putting forth now. As I mentioned earlier, the quality is improving, are different than what they've been in the past in this area, and there's some getting used to it and right-sizing it. And I think all the teams that are trying to get it right relative to the internal control testing are still in some respects struggling to get it right, to find the right balance so that they're applying the right levels of effort on the most material and riskiest areas, and not so much on the lower risk areas. And that's a common theme we hear, is it feels like there's a little bit too much of the one size fits all, which that's not what we're trying to message. We're trying to message to tailor the approach on a scalable basis for the riskiest areas. And part of what we're hearing the concerns about is the efforts many of the major firms are putting into improving in this area sometimes are resulting in unintended consequences of maybe people taking steps too far in areas where they wouldn't need to go that far. And so the dialogue we've had over the course of this year and here at this AICPA conference, I think has been really good. And I personally view that if this is the start of a good series of continuing dialogues to regularly check in and hear what the issues are and bring the right players together at the right time to talk about it, we've made an outstanding start. And I think it would be a mistake to stop talking about it, because it's just something that needs a lot of good communication between all the parties.
Excellent. So now I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out and talk about what you think will be the key issues in auditing that the PCAOB board will address in 2016.
Well, with some of our insight issues at the PCAOB, one of the things that we've been spending a lot of time on is the standard setting process and moving some of the projects along. And I'm very encouraged by some of the efforts that we have underway and the inside mechanics of how we're doing it and how we're prioritizing projects. And so I'm hoping that the public starts to see some results of the hard work that our staff have been doing over the last year, and that's going to be really important for us to demonstrate some meaningful progress on a number of the standards that we have in process, as well as looking out on the horizon as to what other things do we need to be looking at. The areas of the quality control systems in firms is a very important one that we've not spent much time on in the last couple of years, but I think we'll see an increased effort in that area in 2016. On a personal note, there are a couple things that I've said consistently over my term as a board member, and in recent comments I mentioned that the United Kingdom's Financial Reporting Council has some similar words in their strategic plan, which is focused on using the full range of the tools that we have available, including best practices and communicating things that we see going well in general, and non-regulatory approaches to try to move the ball ahead, which regulatory approaches tend to take a long time. And so if we can find some good non-regulatory ways to move practice ahead and improve audit quality, improve the credibility that investors get and the comfort they get out of the auditor's report, that's really good. And I will close with just what sums it all up is communications, that we're really good at putting out things in the PCAOB speak, so to speak, and I think we've got a long ways to go and many opportunities to better improve the way that we communicate, tailored to the audiences we're trying to reach in a way that they can understand it and it resonates with them.
Well, it sounds like a lot of exciting things will be coming out of the PCAOB in 2016.
I sure hope so.
So I look forward to monitoring that. And with that, I will close this edition of the Profession in Focus. I'm Cindy Vernelli, and I thank you for joining us.